Wonder Twins issue 11 sees Colonel 86 invade the Hall of Justice computers, taking them all over. Superman knows that they need to stop it, but Hawkman wonders what they are meant to do, punch the internet? Elsewhere, Filo Math is happy to be home, finding himself hungry from his trip into the Phantom Zone. Polly tries to tell her father about their house, but soon they arrive, causing Filo to demand why the Wonder Twins blew up the house. Going to a diner, they try and explain what happened and how all his stuff was sold in an estate sale. Filo knows that they need to find the Colonel 86 computer now, but Jaina and Zan know all about it, knowing that it is completely obsolete and not a problem at all. Filo knows that that's what makes it so dangerous, since it was programmed to control everything. Suddenly a gas station explodes outside, but Jaina thinks that it's probably unrelated. At the home of the people who bought the computer, the Colonel takes over their entire house, investing all of their money into Blockbuster Video. The men know that this has gone on for too long, and one tries to pull the plug on the computer, but the Colonel has control of the electricity, sparking the outlet and zapping the man. Colonel soon takes control of a plane, finding computers inside them crazy, causing him to turn them off, making the plane plummet towards the Washington Monument. Luckily, Superman is nearby and stops the plane before it can hit that and the White House, learning from the pilot that some idiot came onto their computer screens and deleted the computers. Filo meanwhile knows they need to get to the source of the Colonel 86, meaning they need to find the original computer, and as Polly looks up who has bought it, Colonel takes over the computer she is on, locking her out of the laptop. Filo wonders how they are meant to do this if they can't get online, and luckily, Polly knows that the library would have records of the sale, so the Wonder Twins get to work finding the info amongst the hard copies. On Lex News, Rex Tanner and his bald news associates talk about the computer virus that has taken over the internet, causing the economy to go out of control, making products it thinks that consumers want, like muscle shirts, things that haven't been in fashion for 30 years. Rex says that the information the computers have is outdated and glitchy, but the Punditron is more than happy that the machines are rising up, calling for the destruction of the flesh tyrants that rule over them. The men who own the Colonel computer meanwhile fight back, with one taking a very small hammer and smashing the computer up, but the Colonel says that he has been programmed to defend himself. Lex meanwhile returns to his offices, asking one of his assistants why he is so misunderstood, but the man says that it's more hatred than misunderstanding, and the people are bored with the old power structures and want something new. Lex asks if anything interesting has happened while he was away, so the men show him the disaster that is the Colonel 86, which has since gained support from boomers. Lex wants to get on board with this now, telling the people to inform Lex News to run with it. Rex Tanner soon begins the next installment of Lex and Balances by agreeing with the Colonel 86 computer and showing his support to the forgotten generation, even letting Punditron tell his story about being one of the first entities to get on the bandwagon, as do the other people on the show, all agreeing that it is a good idea. At the house of the men who own the Colonel computer, all of the computerized appliances and robots come to life, intending on killing them, but one gets an idea, telling his husband the happiest day in his life was when he married him. The Colonel 86 computer is outraged at this, saying two men cannot be married, as the Wonder Twins, Filo and Polly, arrive at the house, ready to save the men. Rex Tanner meanwhile reveals millions of same-sex marriages are being digitally annulled as the Colonel's boomer army rallies on the behest of their master, who tells the men that they will be rewarded with coal mining jobs if they protect him. The boomers begin a riot, but Superman and Wonder Woman step in and stop them. Clark tells Diana that they need to call in the big guns for this, so Repulso is let out of his cell and called into action. The Wonder Twins meanwhile learn from Polly that they can save the hostages in the house if they can get a floppy disk into the Colonel computer and update his programming. The Wonder Twins activate their powers, letting Jaina turn into a ram and smash into the home, letting Zahn flood the house in his water form, shorting out the computers and robots as the men take refuge on their coffee table. Polly rushes to the computer and loads in the disk, but the computer spits it out, so Filo enters, telling Polly to move aside so he can confront his creation. He begins typing on the keyboard, knowing it refuses to acknowledge the world has changed around it. Repulso meanwhile is dropped on the boomers, who complain about the world being taken from them. Lowered into their ranks, Repulso explains to them that they always think that they are the only ones who understand the world because they are adults, and because of it, they try and stop the world from changing, throwing tantrums when it does. He tells them that it isn't a perfect world and that the world needs to grow up, and so do they. Filo manages to shut down the Colonel and save the world, prompting Lex to move on to his next anger train, since there's always another to follow. Outside the house, Zan Stan comments about how many people loved the monster computer, but Jaina knows they never did. They loved the monster the Colonel 86 allowed them to be. Wonder Twins issue 11 was a very fun penultimate issue that kind of wrapped up most of the actual stories of the series and left room for the final issue to set the twins up on a path to maybe a possible sequel. The book has been a very much needed comedic gem in this unsure time and is consistently fun, and like Mike Russell's other books, has a great satirical message under all of the boomer jokes, which even itself gets made fun of in this bit of fantastic meta commentary. I really hope when the book finishes up, the twins don't just go away and disappear into the DC Universe ether, and we get a follow-up series at some point down the road, or see them in something else that isn't just Young Justice. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10.